Okay, let's call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Let's have an adoption of the agenda. Councillors Torgerson and Councillor Salt. Are there any additions?
Yes. Item 6.4, VARDA appointments.
Okay.
Deletion of item 6.1, the first Public Works Committee recommendation.
Okay, we're deleting that completely out of the...
Just the first recommendation.
Okay, first recommendation.
And then when we proceed to in-camera at section 16.1, we'll add one item at that point as well.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the changes in the agenda? Okay. Councillor Salt and Torgerson. Oops. Okay, item 3.1, adoption of the previous minutes. Councillors Reimer and Councillor Torgerson. Are there any errors or omissions?
Questions?
Did I forget something?
The regrets from the previous minute, is somebody counted absent if they're late?
Councillor Salt should have been under regrets, and then for the in-camera, she was present.
Yeah, you had already, I think, had just adjourned the regular when I was arriving.
Okay. Was it that far?
Yeah, apparently. You guys went through it so fast.
So we're good on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
There's two areas where it's indicating nil, but that should be deleted.
Okay.
So under delegations, they're showing a nil there,
Okay.
but there was a delegation. Then under proceed to in-camera, it's saying nil there as well.
Okay.
And then also under the council reports, it's showing my name as being present for council reports, and I wasn't.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. All in favor? Okay. 3.2, adoption of the minutes from the July 28th Public Works Committee meeting. Councillor Torgerson. Councillor Reimer. Is there any discussion?
Under this particular meeting, we're showing resolutions 0116 and 0216. There was two resolutions from a May 31st meeting, which is, it's odd because we don't have a terms of reference. We're not following any particular procedural bylaw. Nothing's been asked of the Public Works Committee from Council to either develop a terms of reference or to follow our procedural bylaw that's already been enacted by Council, or to fall back onto Robert's rules. So while the resolutions are slightly out of order, there was no agenda presented on May 31st from that Public Works Committee meeting, but there were discussion and decisions made to accept reports from staff members.
Okay.
So I guess discussion from this or key takeaways should be that perhaps the Public Works Committee, when we meet later, at a later time, produce at least something that reflects that.
Okay.
Either a terms of reference or, you know, fall back onto Council's procedure bylaw.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor of accepting the minutes? 3.3, Valemount Community Forests minutes from June 6th. Councillors Torgerson, Councillor Salt. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor accepting the minutes? Okay. 6.1, Public Works Committee meeting. Recommendations to Council. Public Works, we're deleting 6.1.
Well,
The first one? So we're going to Public Works Committee recommendation that Council considers a budget item to increase safety along Cranberry Lake Road on the west side, to increase safety and decrease congestion from the east side. Councillor Torgerson? Councillor Salt?
For discussion.
Yeah.
So I was looking for material on this, and either I'm not seeing it, or there wasn't any. But I'd certainly like more information on this before we entertain anything to put into a budget. Where is the congestion on the east side of Cranberry Lake Road?
At that particular meeting, it was recommended that the west side, where we have an easement or at least a right-of-way between the three businesses that are there, Shell, Rocky RV, and the Rocky Inn, that we better develop that or improve that parking lane so that trucks and/or traffic, RVs, campers are not jutting out onto the actual laneway. Superintendent will be coming back, hopefully, with a cost of doing a similar project along Karras Drive. So making it a 3-lane rather than a 2 and a bit lane.
Okay, so actually widening the area of the road.
To the west. So if you're
Okay.
looking south, the right-hand side.
Are we talking asphalt, or are we talking gravel, like?
Compacted gravel.
Compacted gravel, like on Karras Drive? Is there already provision in the Public Works budget, do we know? Or are we asking for a
This-
budget amendment?
This would be a budget amendment.
Well, like Councillor Reimer says, until we have some numbers, we can't really consider a budget amendment until we have some idea of costs.
So would we like to put it back to staff to get a report?
I would like to see that, yes.
Can you make a motion?
So I'll make a motion that we send this back to staff for information and for coming up with a report which includes some numbers.
A second? Councillor Salt? All in favor? Okay, you got that? Okay. Item 6.2, MIA voting delegate. Councillor Torgerson?
I motion that we stay with our voting delegate as Councillor Peter Reimer.
Do I have a second? Councillor Salt? Councillor Reimer, that's fine with you?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all in favor? Okay. 6.3, Valemount Saddle and Wagon Club. They are requesting a donation.
Move to get in discussion?
Yeah, sorry.
So I'll make a motion for discussion.
Councillor Reimer?
Second it.
Okay, Councillor Sloat. What do you wish?
We don't, again, know if there's room in our budget for grants and aid that goes along with this. Certainly, if there is room in that, that would be where the money would come from a donation from us. So perhaps that's something that we could report back on. Now, how much time have we got on this?
This event's to be held before our next meeting.
It's before next meeting.
I think we just, I think we just need to verify what our policy provisions are as well. It's a community event, a fundraiser event. I know we've done donations before for the elementary school for their trips, and I know there's certain wording in our policies as far as contributions to different groups. I think we just need to make sure that we are falling within our policy for donation or not.
Councillor Torgerson, do you have anything to add?
I believe Councillor Salt might be able to verify this or correct me. I believe we have a grant in aid in our budget, hovers around $1,000, $1,200.
Yeah.
And first come, first serve. So things like secondary school sports teams and elementary school Victoria trips often come to council requesting a grant and aid. That account depletes to zero probably by now. If not, then I support this grant and aid. If it is depleted, then obviously we can't just go ahead and spend $300 without having it in that account or in that ledger.
Okay, go ahead.
I support it as long as it falls within our provisions, and I'm not sure if contributions to an organization such as this are permitted or not. If it has to be for attending provincial things, or we know we support a lot of nonprofit groups with rental fees being waived, etc. We know we've contributed to the elementary school for their Victoria trip. So I just want to make sure that our policy wording does provide, and I think the limit has been $200 in that grant and aid account. So as long as it falls within the provisions of our policy, I'm willing to support it.
Do you want to make that as a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Reimer, all in favor? Okay. Did you have a question, Councillor Torgerson? Oh, sorry, I thought I saw your hand up, sorry. Okay.
Just a waiver pen.
Okay. Okay. Point 7, the reading file. Can I have a motion to accept? Okay.
Madam Acting Mayor, there is no motion required for the...
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Item 8.1, Varda lease extension. That council extends the Varda lease on the same terms and conditions until Varda is ready to occupy their new building. Go ahead.
It's my understanding that they're hoping to have their September 28th AGM in their new building. I, for one, am not comfortable having an open dated or a term or a lease that doesn't have an end date on it. Quote unquote, using the wording ready, because whose definition of ready are we using? So I would like to move that we put an end date to it of September 30th, so that they can still have that month extension. And if we need to revisit it, then I'm happy to revisit it.
Do we have a second? Councillor Salt? Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay. I forgot to do this too, didn't I? 6.4. Yep. Okay, so can we go backwards to 6.4?
Can we add it under new business?
New business, okay. Okay, 10.1, Village of Valemount bylaw notice enforcement and adjudication amendment bylaw number 750-2016, that council gives first and second reading to Village of Valemount bylaw enforcement adjudication bylaw 750-2016. Councillor Torgerson?
With amendments, Madam Acting Mayor.
Second that.
Okay, any discussion?
Under bylaw, excuse me, the water supply and regulations amendment bylaw 759/2016, near the end. Open or close any hydrant or hydrant valve without village authorization. In the column marked compliance agreement available, it's marked as no, yet we have a compliance agreement discount of 50%. So it's suggesting that there is no compliance agreement in place, so we can't give a 50% discount. Nor should there be a compliance agreement in place. You open up a hot fire hydrant, you are
You're done.
not in compliant and you're actually
Yep,
drawing away from what could be an emergency.
okay, Okay.
There's no compliance agreement.
okay. Councillor Salt?
I just had a few others, so I think maybe if we can just have staff just make sure and review the Schedule A for accuracy of the items,
Okay,
and have those amended for the third reading. That would be great.
okay. Okay, anything else? Okay, all in favor? Okay. 10.2, Village of Valemount Development Procedures Amendment Bylaw 2, number 756. Recommendation is that council gives fourth and final reading to Village of Valemount Development Procedures Amendment Bylaw number 756, 2016. Councillor Salt, Councillor Torgerson? Any discussion? No? All in favor? Carried. Okay. Item 10.3, Village of Valemount Emergency Program Regulatory Bylaw number 757. Recommendation is that council rescinds third reading of Village of Valemount Emergency Bylaw Regulatory Bylaw number 757, 2016, issued on August 9th, 2016, and refers the bylaw back to staff for amendments and resubmission to council at a future meeting. Councillor Salt, Councillor Torgerson, all in favor? Carried. Okay. 10.4, Village of Valemount Tax Exemption Property Bylaw number 758, 2016. Recommendation that council approves first and second reading of the tax exempt property bylaw number 758, 2016. Councillor Torgerson, Councillor Salt. Any discussion? Councillor Salt?
A slight error in the bylaw numbering in the very first line of the bylaw of the whereas. It's saying whereas it is deemed necessary that the permissive tax exemption bylaw number 58, 2016. That should be 758, 2016.
Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay. 10.5, Village of Valemount Water Supply and Regulations Bylaw number 759. Recommendation that council gives first and second reading to the Village of Valemount Water Supply and Regulations Bylaw number 759, 2016. Councillor Torgerson? Councillor Salt? Any discussion?
I'd like to commend staff on researching this and catching this. As mentioned earlier, hydrants are of utmost importance in either the obstruction of or tampering thereof. So thank you very much, staff.
Yeah, it's important to have it included in a bylaw instead of just a policy, an internal policy, and that's what was there before, and it's hard to enforce that. So there is a slight grammatical error, I believe, under 7.1. It says all fire hydrants except fire hydrants saturated on private property. I think that's situated. And then the sentence ends, property of the city. We're a village still, so I think we should state a village.
You caught that, but I didn't get it changed.
It could be saturated.
It could be saturated, it could be, but I thought,
If tampered with.
I don't think that's supposed to be that.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay. 10.6, Village of Valemount Cemetery Amendment Bylaw, set number 760. Recommendation is that council gives first and second reading to the Village of Valemount Cemetery Amendment Bylaw number 760, 2016. Councillor Torgerson? Councillor Reimer? Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I had a few things on that. For item number 2.3, one internment which is in respect to a body and 3 cremated remains be permitted in each grave in a cemetery. I asked and I was informed that that we do deeper plots, and which would allow for 2 caskets. Is that, so would this be the place to allow for that rather than limiting it to 1?
We do allow for it. It's not stated in the bylaw, but we do allow for it.
Okay.
So I think we should have that bylaw amended. Well, either amended or have it sent back to staff to amend that to be inclusive for the for that purpose.
Sorry. Are you suggesting deferring first and second reading, or are you suggesting with the amendment and then bring it back to for third reading?
Yes.
Amended.
Bring it back to the third reading with the amendment. And there's also one other issue in this that I was noticing. The dimensions of the upright memorial. We specify the height, but we don't specify the width. Is it assumed that the width is the same as the base? That's not necessarily true.
Okay, what item or number are you looking at? Just so we
That's
have
in
reference.
2.4.
Okay.
We suggest that the upright memorial shall not be over 3 feet in height, but we don't limit the width. Conceivably, it could be as wide as the plot, even though it sits on a smaller base, if because it's not clear what kind of a base the upright would sit on.
Okay.
So that's the concern that I have.
Was the previous amendment 60 centimeters, 2 feet wide? So much thick and then so deep? It actually gave dimensions of the base, I believe.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, that dimension of the base could be interpreted as being a base for a plaque, for an in-ground plaque, rather than for a memorial marker that stands upright.
I think the bylaw had, in the past, had just a set base size that Public Works did, whether it was for a tablet-sized memorial or an upright memorial. Am I correct with that?
Yes, Public Works lays a standard size cement pad, and then the person purchasing the marker, if it's upright, has it placed on a concrete base, which is to be no larger than this slab that the village puts down. But we can be a lot more specific with it and just spell out each part and how large it can be, just to avoid the confusion.
I think that's what we need to do, is we need to confirm, you know, what Public Works is able to do as far as the size of the concrete base, because I would hate to have us have a set base size and have our bylaw allow to have a monument placed on it that overlaps or goes beyond that base, because then you have potential for damage. And we would hate to have a monument be damaged because the base isn't large enough. So I think we need to absolutely make certain that the base size corresponds with what size memorials we will allow to avoid damage to those monuments, so that we do respect those that are interred there.
Okay. So do we want to make these amendments and then have it come back for third reading, or do we want to send it back and then have it come back for first and second again? What would you wish?
Do we have an urgency?
Not that I know of.
I've always made the comment that nobody ever dies in Valemount, so I don't think there's an urgency. Although that is probably not true, but
No.
most people are out of town when they...
And we can make exceptions to the bylaw. I mean, we can do other things while in process of changing the bylaw. I mean, if that means that we take a little longer, take a couple of more weeks to get it right, I mean, it's still council's decision, right, if something comes before you in regards to that.
And if there is a situation in the meantime, we can deal with it as an individual situation.
Okay, so does someone want to make a motion, please?
So we made the motion to get it on the floor, so right now we have first and second on the floor. Are we proceeding with that? And then we can take as much time as we need to get to third reading.
Okay, can I have a second? Okay, Councillor Torgerson, all in favor? Okay. Okay, council reports. Let's start with Councillor Torgerson.
On the 11th, I had a personnel committee meeting, and on the 19th, I had a special meeting of council. And that concludes my report.
Councillor Salt?
On the 16th, I had a Valemount Children's Activity Society board meeting. And the 19th, a special meeting of council as well. That's my report. Must be
What date was your
children's activities. The 16th.
Councillor Reimer?
On the 11th, I had a personnel committee meeting and an economic development committee meeting. And was it the 19th we had the special meeting? Yeah.
And all I had was the special camera meeting. Summer's ending. Okay. 12, new business. Okay, so Varda's asking for the AGM to reappoint, or we're going to appoint a director. And Councillor Torgerson is at present director at Varda. Do you wish to continue in that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do we have somebody to move that? Councillor Salt? Councillor Reimer, any discussion?
Thanks for your work.
Okay, all in favor? Okay. Okay, list of outstanding previous council resolutions. I don't need a motion to accept that, right? Do I?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll move that.
Okay, second? All in favor? Okay. Calendar of events. I don't need that one. Okay. Public comment. Okay. So before we have public comment, I just want to remind everybody that public comment is a chance for public to speak and for council to listen, and that respect for everyone is requested and required. Okay. Does anyone wish to say anything?
Jane, 1350 3rd Avenue. As a senior who's starting to have a hard time hearing, I would encourage all of you to speak a little louder, because you get the feeling that you're just eavesdropping on a private conversation when the tone is so low, and I'm sure that's not your intention. So if you speak more clearly, that would be, I would appreciate that.
Okay.
And again, I've mentioned this before, when you list off the numbers for the bylaws and all this, we have no clue. And how long would it take to say, this is about da-da-da-da-da? We would feel included, because then we know what you're talking about and what you're voting on. So I respectfully suggest transparency in that regard.
Okay, yep, thank you. Okay.
Rita Reimer, it's 1800 Bailey Road. This is in respect to the letters regarding the Rainbow Crosswalk. I read them with great interest and great dismay at the same time. And then I did an internet search on the names of some of the ones that were submitted. And I found it interesting, there was one man from Pennsylvania that felt it was incumbent upon him to weigh in on things, all things in Valemount. And there was some from Langley, there was some from Surrey, there was some from Etobicoke. There was a great deal from not in town. There was one letter from the community in town, from Mrs. Torgerson, that contained an inaccuracy. I was at both of the meetings where Ms. Burbage spoke, and she had never once had stated that she felt persecuted by this town. In fact, she stated quite the opposite, and quite clearly stated quite the opposite, that we were warm and accepting. And I would hate to see that letter stand as testimony in the council chambers as being accurate to what Mrs. Burbage said, because it was not accurate. And as for the 19 or so other letters that were obviously some part of some call out to some fundamentalist Christian organization, I would respectfully request that the council, mayor and council, disregard them for the garbage that they are. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Christine Torgerson, 2855 Birch Road. When council was discussing the monuments for the cemetery, Councillor Reimer suggested that there was nothing mentioned for width. I have noticed that in the cemetery there are some monuments that are to names. So they're side by side, but they're still the same stone. So maybe that's where the council needs to look at, or staff needs to look at, the size of the base and the stone. Maybe people want to have their names on the same stone, so want it. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Hearing none. That's everything. Item 16, notice to proceed in camera. Recommendation is...
We have to receive.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Do I have a motion to receive? Councillors Salt and Torgerson, all in favor? Okay. So notice to proceed in camera, that council proceed to an in-camera meeting for consideration of 3 items per section 91J of the community charter to discuss.
And C and K.
And C and K. Okay. Sorry. Information that is prohibited, or information that if it were presented in the document would be prohibited from disclosure under section 21 of the Freedom of Information Protection of Privacy Act. Okay, Councillors Torgerson. Salt, yes? We're good to go? Okay. Okay, that's it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for coming.